Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Hope you are doing well. Today I'm back with 5 news stories for you. The first story is just shocking. Keep watching to find out what happens when people give birth to kids they can't handle. I'm a 28 female and have a sister, 36 female. For the sake of the story, I'll just call Jane. Jane is married to Bob, and they have 2 kids, a boy and a girl. My niece and nephew are wonderful kids and no trouble at all. They fight as siblings do, but nothing big. I love them. Now, for about 2 years, I did live with my sister. It was a miserable time that really affected our relationship. She saw me as free labor, money, and babysitting. Even when I managed to get a small part-time job, she demanded I hand over nearly half of my pay or get out. It was hell, as she took complete advantage of me. I moved out as soon as I could, and we have little contact outside of family gatherings. Now, after I moved out, she started complaining how she has no help with the kids and never gets a break. I babysit sometimes, but I have made it clear, just because I am off work doesn't mean I want an 8-hour day with my niece and nephew. Anyway, she started talking about how she wanted to foster a kid. Not a kid, but a teenager. I pressed her for more info on this. She wants to adopt a teenager, so she has a live-in babysitter for her kids. This is her logic. I want a kid around 16 or 17, you know, someone who may have been in the system for a while. They can share a room with your nephew, she only has a 3-bedroom house, or sleep in the garage. They can help me with housework, chores, cook, and help me with my business. She bakes and sells cookies. Also, babysit the kids so me and Bob can go out sometimes or have some alone time. They'll be so grateful for a home and won't complain. I won't have to pay them at all. And then when they turn 18, I can just sign up for another foster kid. A teenager will be so much easier than a little kid. They will be so grateful just to have a roof, food, siblings if they have been separated from their real ones, and clothes. I was horrified. Told her it was a horrible idea. She didn't listen to me. She went on with it anyway. About a month ago, a social worker showed up at my apartment to ask me some questions about my sister. She had put me down as a character witness or something like that. I immediately told the social worker why my sister really wanted to foster a kid and how she treated me when I lived with her. The lady thanked me. My sister called crying, saying that she wouldn't be considered for any adoptions or fosters. The social worker told her that they felt her and her home weren't a good fit. She asked if I said anything, and I told the truth. She went off on me, hung up, and we haven't spoken since. She has sent some angry texts. A couple family members are on her side. They think foster kids are dogs or something and would be so happy to have a roof and would gladly do all the housework. 100% not the idiot. OP told the truth and saved a teenager from a terrible life of being used and dumped for another, which is no way to treat anyone. Something is definitely wrong with OP's sister. Don't have kids if you can't handle them, and don't try to put all the weight on other people. My 27 male, older sister, 30 female, and her fiancé, 31 male, were planning for over a year for their wedding to be this month. Obviously, they can't have the wedding as planned, but they still would like to get married. So they decided on a Zoom wedding, where all of the family/friends would just call in to watch the officiant, my sister and her fiancé. My sister didn't want to be in charge of hosting the Zoom call because she thought it would stress her out. So she asked me to, and I gladly accepted. She and her fiancé decided to invite everyone they originally wanted to, and it was a very big list. When we were going over the list, my sister mentioned to me that she wanted everyone else to be muted for the majority of the wedding, as she was worried that others would talk over her and her fiancé and, quote, overshadow them on their big day. That was already scaled down. However, her and her fiancé said that I should unmute everyone at one point so everyone could talk and have a nice time with each other. Fast forward to the day of the wedding. Everyone is muted during the ceremony, which goes great, and so I then unmute everyone and ask to please raise a hand if they'd like to talk, so it doesn't get confusing. My cousin, around my age, starts waving his hand crazily, and he's with his longtime girlfriend, also similar age, I guess. He's a very gregarious guy, so I was not surprised. Then he says stuff like, "My sister and her husband are such an inspiration. It's given me the courage to do this." Then turns to his girlfriend and pulls out a box that is the size of an engagement ring box. I immediately saw this as him trying to steal the spotlight, something that he's done since we were kids. Example, he would secretly mess up my sister and I's drawings if the adults would praise ours. and booted him off of the call. Then I quickly announced that my cousin had technical difficulties and would not be joining again. Everyone else accepted this and went on about talking, and my sister and her husband did too. The rest of the wedding went smoothly, except for the fact that my cousin kept texting me angrily, saying that he finally wanted to propose as a surprise, with family all around, and I ruined it. My aunt and uncle texted me the same. Am I the idiot? Well, guys, OP is definitely not the idiot, but the cousin is. And sounds like the parents have been enabling this kind of behavior for years. I think OP did a great job. This whole saga started because my husband took my last name. A couple weeks ago, he got his workplace to change it, and his coworkers found out. About half of them think this is the funniest thing ever, and about half are deeply offended. Brenda is in the offended half, and has made that clear. He and I are in a group chat with his coworkers, where we organize carpooling during the pandemic. It is very helpful to us, so we can't leave the chat. Since he changed his name, my husband and I have been dealing with a lot of dumb jokes in the chat, which we have been mostly ignoring. Yesterday, Brenda, his coworker, and I got into a bit of a spat. I messaged the group asking if someone could take my husband home since I wouldn't be back from work until late and needed the car. One of his other coworkers agreed, and I thought that was that. Brenda messages the group saying, maybe if you spent less time at work and more time being a wife, your husband wouldn't come into work with dirty shirts. I took this as a bad joke initially. My husband is a rural mail carrier, so his shirts look like shirts worn by someone in 90-degree heat on dusty roads. I do wash them, but there's only so much to be done. Me, I could make cleaning those shirts my full-time job and it wouldn't do much, LOL. Brenda, you won't be married very long if you keep trying to be the man in the relationship. I'd be embarrassed as a wife if I did so little for my husband. Me, well, I work more hours and pay the bills, so I think he can OxyClean his own shirts if it's so important. Brenda, maybe you should learn to take proper care of your husband, or you'll find yourself divorced. Me, I'll let you know when I need relationship advice from someone who is 42 and single. Now, apparently Brenda is going around and saying that I mocked her for being single in her 40s. I don't care if someone is single in their 40s, but I think it's absolutely BS that she can call me a bad wife, but I can't point out she has no frame of reference. Am I the idiot? I personally don't understand why this woman thinks it's okay to give marriage advice to OP. That's just rude. Maybe if she spent less time judging OP on her marriage, she could find one of her own. I applaud OP for standing up for herself and her husband. I was adopted at age 3 from an orphanage in South Africa. My father was a doctor with Beyond Borders that was there performing surgeries. When he realized with my disabilities I'd never be adopted, he arranged to have my mom, his wife, meet me, and they petitioned to adopt me. With their money, my father's connections, and better health care in America, I was able to have several surgeries and therapies that led to me being able to walk and live a rather normal life. My parents have always been good to me, and I appreciate what they've done for me. However, they and their elitist rich friends like to say how my parents rescued me and how I owe it to them for my successes. Now, I agree to a certain extent, but I did well in school, graduated high school as salutatorian. I worked my butt off to get into a very good college with a full scholarship, and I'm on track to graduate next year with a 4.0 and honors. I do appreciate my parents and my siblings, 2 older sisters, 28-30, for everything they've done for me, but it's also my hard work too. That being said, it is my parents' 35th marriage anniversary today, as well as my dad's birthday on Wednesday. So my parents had their friends, my sisters, their spouses, and my father's parents over for a barbecue last night. The night was going great until my dad's friend made a toast, basically saying how great my parents were for taking a disabled orphan with no future and transforming him into an able-bodied, functioning member of society. Everyone clapped and started remarking how great my parents were for this. My sisters got visibly upset because they recognized how messed up it was. But then my mom made a speech about how caring my father is, how he saw this pathetic, yes, she used that word, child with no future and saw my potential. I became upset then and walked out mid-speech, as did my sisters and their spouses. My sisters, sister-in-law, and my brother-in-law took me out for ice cream after we left, and we walked the pier. My mother left us all messages about how we ruined their party and humiliated them. This morning, I'm feeling ashamed, like I let them down, but both my sisters assure me I wasn't in the wrong. I love my parents, and I'm thankful for all they've done for me, but I hate how it's rubbed in my face. Am I the idiot? I think OP's parents have a lot of false pride. What they did is great, but you don't need to talk about it and remind everyone about it all the time. Their remarks were hurtful and wildly unnecessary. I'm glad OP's siblings recognized that and stood up for her. The fact that the siblings walked out as well shows this is not OP just being overly sensitive. This must be a reoccurring theme that makes them all uncomfortable. OP's mom ruined the party herself. My wife and I had a pretty normal marriage. No kids, both employed and really happy together. For 99% of our relationship, we didn't have any major problems. We made time for each other, so on and so forth. She recently went away with her friend for a girls' trip. The first 2 days after she came back, everything was fine. And on the third day, we went to dinner with this friend and her boyfriend. Dinner went well, came home and went to bed. Wife woke me up in the middle of the night, crying, saying there was something she had to tell me. Long story short, she had cheated on me the entire trip, and her friend had cheated on her boyfriend as well. Apparently, the dinner together caused her to have an attack of conscience because she messaged my wife after I had fallen asleep, telling her that she was going to come clean to her partner, and my wife had to tell me as well, or she would. We talked, yelled, cried. I spent most of the night sick. Told me it was just a horribly stupid decision and was perfectly happy with me, which honestly makes it worse. Why risk a happy marriage for an affair? It wasn't my fault. The usual. I've been staying at my sister's place while we figure out the divorce. Before this went down, she had been scheduled for tests and scans for what we thought were relatively non-serious health problems. Turns out, we were wrong, as I was just contacted last week by her cousin telling me a scan revealed cancer. I got in touch with my wife and we talked. She proved her diagnosis and filled me in on some details. She was understandably terrified and begged me to come back, to talk to her, hug her, give her a chance, to be there with her. I told her I wished her all the best. I'm very sorry for what she's going through and know she's strong enough to make it through, but while I'd help financially from a distance, I wasn't physically going back. They, not her, have been harassing me, telling me to man up and go to her. My own friends are split 50-50. I don't want to go back. Before anyone pulls the "this is probably why she cheated" card, no, we had a good marriage. We had a sit-down talk every month to discuss anything wrong. We were solid. She just chose to take a chance on a quick thrill, despite knowing cheating is a 100% deal breaker for me. She never even planned to tell me until her friend forced her. While I certainly don't think anyone deserves this, and I am sorry it happened to her, in my opinion, her diagnosis doesn't change our situation. I feel it'll be harder on both of us with me being there, knowing I won't forgive her when it's over. It feels like prolonging the inevitable, and I feel like my obligation to her ended when she chose to betray our marriage. She has family and friends, so she isn't alone. I care about the woman I thought I married, but I no longer love who she turned out to be. So I feel it'd be unfair to both of us for me to be there. I'm not trying to punish her. My heart just isn't in it anymore. Am I the idiot? Edit. When I said we talk every month about our problems, it doesn't mean we only talk once a month in strict time slots. We talked as often as needed, but made a point at least once a month to sit with each other and check in, see how we're feeling and so on. Secondly, I mentioned she proved her diagnosis because when I was told, I didn't believe it. I figured it was a ploy to get me to come home and talk because she and her family had been trying to get me to reconsider from the moment I left. I also didn't want numerous answers to be filled with that exact same speculation. As far as how she cheated the entire trip, the two of them went with the purpose of meeting up with two specific people her friend knew. And I figured this would be easy to figure out, but I guess not. I knew her friend forced her to tell me because I demanded to see their messages after she told me she cheated. To be honest, I don't really want to be a friend either. All I feel is hurt. I gave her the best years, truly. And she still chose, selfishly, to hurt me the way she did. And now that she's hurting, she wants me to be there again. I feel like the night she told me she was unfaithful was the last time I saw her as the woman I loved. I have no desire to be cruel to her. And from the bottom of my heart, I hope she recovers and finds someone new, learns from her mistakes, and lives a good life. I just don't want to be in her life anymore, in any capacity. I don't think OP is an idiot. He is right that he doesn't have any obligation to her after her choices. I feel sorry for OP's wife, but if you play stupid games, You win stupid prizes.